Welcome to Film Scoring Tips. I am Giovanni Rotondo, and today I'm gonna bring you with me on a journey to resolve one of the most annoying problems I've encountered with my MacBook Pro: thermal throttling. That is when the internal temperature of the Mac reaches a level where the computer thinks it might be dangerous for the components such as the CPU, and thus it slows down all the operation in order for the temperature to be lowered. This is particularly problematic for composers as it generates audio dropout as often as once or even twice per every minute.
If you're experiencing audio dropouts and would like to check if thermal throttling is the cause of that, open Activity Monitor on your Mac. Now, in the CPU tab, check the processes and see if there is a process called kernel task sitting on top of the others, spiking concomitantly to the audio dropouts. If that is the case, thermal throttling is the cause of your problems.
If this sounds all too familiar, stick around as I have a solution that will resolve the problem once and for all.
Here's why thermal throttling happens. When the CPU and the GPU are performing intensive tasks, they heat up. The heat generated is pushed naturally towards the back corners of the Mac through the heat pipe. At this point, the fans will activate and push the heat outside of the Mac. Although Apple has made quite a miracle in packing such powerful components in such a small footprint, there was a major oversight. Putting two components that generate so much heat so close to each other was a recipe for disaster. As a final test, I put an ice pack where the heat is generated, and sure enough, the kernel task went down and the audio dropouts disappeared.
So I looked around for a solution, and I've developed a threefold strategy. First up, I'm gonna open my Mac and clean the fans. It seems that after 3 years it's very likely that dust has built up to a point where they can no longer operate correctly.
iFixit.com provides excellent guides to open your Mac. I strongly advise following them. As you can see, the condition of my fans was quite critical, so I proceeded to clean them up with the help of an air duster can. I suspect this will already make a huge difference.
Second, I'm gonna install thermal pads on all the components that get the hottest. That is the GPU, the CPU, and the vents that are connected to the fans. These thermal pads will in turn touch the bottom plate that will act as a heat sink.
Thermal pads come in many different shapes and quality. Thickness and thermal conductivity, in my opinion, are the most important factors to consider. I decided to use 1mm thick thermal pads so that I could layer them in some spots. They have a thermal conductivity of 15 watts per meter Kelvin. A very good one. I couldn't believe my eyes and ears when I launched my most demanding orchestral template. Now I don't incur in thermal throttling even when I lower the buffer size to 256.
So the internal components will get colder, whereas the bottom plate will get much hotter. In fact, to a point where it might get pretty uncomfortable for my laps and for the desk where the computer will stand. So, as the third part of my solution, I found a thermal mat on Amazon that should, in theory, dissipate heat. After testing it for a few days, I can happily say it works very well. Even though the temperature of my computer is quite high, on my lap it feels like the same old Mac. This gives me peace of mind, especially when I leave the Mac on my desk to perform lengthy operations alone. And there you have it, a very effective solution against thermal throttling and audio dropouts. Please check the description below for a complete list of parts and links to Amazon to purchase them. If you use these links, you won't pay anything more, but you will help Film Scoring Tips create more amazing content in the future. Please do like this video and subscribe to this channel to get more content like this, and also check filmscoringtips.com for articles and fresh tips brought to you by top industry professionals. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you soon.